What is going on, everybody? It is episode 865 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. I am here once again with my co-host. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, crisis actors. It's Mary. We are always having the most morbid and non-family friendly discussions immediately before going live. It somehow happens every day.
Every day.
We have Phil joining us
How
today.
you doing? My name's Phil Abonte. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains. I'm an anti-communist and a counter-revolutionary. I'm not Liver King, and I'm not dead.
Yeah, I think Phil wants to hear about the multiple suicides on the set of Love Island. I guess it wasn't on the set of Love Island, but two people definitely did.
I was not aware.
So somebody brought it up
that.
In the chat yesterday during the segment, and I just was looking into it after when I was looking into whether we should use the word contestant in the thumbnail or not.
Oh.
And it was like right under that, it's like, by the way, two people committed suicide.
What do you get if you win Love Island?
A
Just
lot of
bragging
trauma.
rights? Instagram followers, probably?
Yeah, social media followers.
What's the point of Love Island?
Like, they set people up in couples at the very start. Like, they pick each other, I guess.
Oh, you get a dysfunctional relationship. That's what you get.
Yes, and then like they compete somehow to see which couple lasts the longest on the island. But they're not actually on an island, they're in a luxury resort, constantly binge drinking the entire time and sharing beds. In like a communal situation. Like everyone is sleeping in the same room, bed to bed.
They did that on TV back in the day for free, I'm sure, the reality TV stars.
That just seems like I could never get a wink of sleep in a room full of like 20 people.
Yeah.
And everyone's snoring and having sex.
I would hate that.
I could deal with snoring likely. I couldn't deal with people having sex. Like,
And
I
it's
don't
got to
wanna
be
in
at least one of those couples is doing it at every hour of the night.
You get
Like
earplugs.
just a numbers game.
You get earplugs and the face mask.
And
thing
they
that
don't give
covers
you
your
a
eyes.
choice. They don't give you a choice. You have to share a bed with the person that you get set up with,
Yeah.
from what I recall. And they just have the most absurd, like, Cockney accents that you can barely understand.
Yeah.
That's part of the appeal
Accents
of the
are
whole thing.
rarely sexy.
They have, like, a Scottish narrator, too.
Oh.
Yeah.
You can't. How does that even work? Have you guys ever spoken to like an actual Scottish person from Scotland and listened to that accent?
I guess not.
It's effing impossible. Like when you're talking about like actually in Scotland with Scottish people, because if you're around someone that like is Scottish that has a Scottish accent, but they're like if they travel a lot and stuff, the Scottish accent actually does chill out a little bit. I know a bunch of people like that, but I know people that actually live in Scotland and stay in Scotland
In the thick of it.
and it is impossible to understand them.
Yeah, it's not something, and I have a hard time anyways, given my hearing problems with stuff like that. Where I'd just be like, what would happen is I'd say what twice, and if I still don't understand, I just
be like,
pretend
okay, man. Like,
no, that's. I mean, I have a 3 what rule where I'll say what 3 times. If at that point I don't get it, I just say yes and hope you didn't say a slur.
It's
or,
what? What? Okay, we can't be friends.
Yeah.
We have a 20 from King. All contestants win an STD on Love Island. Speaking of STDs.
But which one?
Tinder's new update allows 2 people to seek thruples and probably also STDs.
King, I just saw
Wow.
your tweet. I can only check Twitter here at work, so I have to catch up incrementally. I don't know. I think that because he sent a post, and I think it might be old because I didn't see any articles covering this. I think they did this a couple of years ago.
About the thruple thing.
Thruples. I think
Yeah,
they did
I
in
mean, I already
2023.
knew someone would use their account for that purpose, and it wasn't set up as a structure in the app. But
Maybe they
I
did.
haven't seen any headlines about that. I assume if it had happened, we'd see some coverage.
If it does, I'm sure we'll get into it. We'll see more coverage regarding
I'll look into that though.
Yeah. So thank you for the heads up, though. I did catch your
Not
tweet.
on Tinder, so I don't know these things.
There's so much, and the sad thing is there's so much happening on X now that I can't talk about because I've made the point to not look at, not post for the next week because I don't have the app on my phone anymore. But they just hired Denis Villeneuve to do James Bond. I was excited. I can't say anything about it. People are complaining about Superman, and they're complaining about not Jurassic Park. They're complaining about Superman. They're complaining about Ironheart. And when I got here this morning, I'm like, ugh.
Ironheart's gonna be bad, right?
Yeah, but the thing is like I came
Half
in.
of it is already out.
So yeah, like the thing is I came into work and like I open X to start looking, to do work, and I'm like, this is just depressing. Like this is why I'm depressed at home sometimes because I'm just reading nothing but people being bummed about stuff.
Well, I guess I must be a sociopath because I never feel my mood is affected by the
Well,
news
I
cycle.
don't in the moment either. But now, like, I'm at home and I'm actually like paying attention to things, and my focus is kind of back. So maybe after a week, I'll just leave it and only look at it at work. Maybe I'll post some stuff on X at work, but I won't just have it at home. So we'll have to wait and see.
Protecting your sanity.
Yeah. Guys, hit the like button on this video, this live stream, and
Do it.
subscribe to the channel if you're new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you. And remember to share this content out with your friends, your family, your loved ones, everybody in your life that you both like and dislike, especially the people that you don't like, because what I want you to do is go argue about this show in the comments section for every video and live stream with people that you want to fight with. It increases our engagement, and let's face it, you get some type of dopamine hit when you argue with people on the internet.
true.
So it's a win-win for both of us. Think of me as the person bringing this offer to you just to help you and myself. It's mutually beneficial.
We reached 365K, I think, yesterday, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
1,000. So like that's
1,000 for every day
for
of the
every
year.
day of the year.
Nice.
That's pretty good. Yeah. So the channel we add about 100 to 120 followers or like subscribers a day. Which is good,
Nice.
and it
Hi to
shows
the
in
new
the
people.
segments when we cover the stuff like the Vanna segment, which I'm sure will do great numbers when that segment comes out because people love to see the horror stories.
Yeah.
They really do. But again, hit the like button on this video. What are we getting into today? Well, Rachel Zegler is back in the news. She just gave a new interview, and in this interview, they detail how the Snow White backlash, which they always conveniently leave out the cause of, they make it about politics when really we know it's about her initial comments about the original Snow White, led her to therapy and SSRIs, to which I'm sure nobody was surprised. But we will get into that discussion. We are also going to talk about...
Is anyone surprised about SSRIs nowadays?
No.
I thought that she must have already been engaging in therapy and psychiatric medication before.
Yeah.
Snow White, but yeah, I guess it was just a
It's not
turning point
news.
in her life.
It's not like it's news in a culture that normalized therapy. So why would it be weird
But
when
again,
somebody's in therapy?
they do the journalism thing where they go through every little controversy, and she posted this and she posted that, and they try to rewrite history.
Had a bad opinion one time.
So we're going to talk about that. And speaking of depression and SSRIs, we are going to talk about TikTok's latest trend of users sharing their depression rooms. You know, you're sad, you're upset, things aren't going well, and your room will often reflect what you feel like on the inside. I can attest to this. In the past, I've definitely had a room that did not look well kept, and it kind of mirrored how I was feeling at the time. So we'll talk about that. I don't know if I would ever share my depression room with anybody as if it was something to boast about. But,
No.
we're also going to talk about the fact that the women today, the women folk, they just don't want to date you if you're a conservative. It's the sad truth.
Yeah, the lib chicks are asking first question on a date, who did you vote for? And
Well, it was Zohran Mamdani. That's who they voted for.
So you're talking about that tweet that guys put out. There was
Well, that wasn't. I mean, that wasn't
Oh,
actually
there's more.
this topic was actually we planned this one like 2 days ago, but that one does come up. The one about Murray Hill.
I'm not sure. Oh, yeah, Murray Hill, 9
There's
million
so
or
much
something
more.
views or something on that tweet or whatever.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yep.
Yep. So let's go ahead and let's just get into it. You ready to go?
All right,
Go.
let's go.
Phil
Bill,
says yes.
are you ready?
Yeah.
I made
Yes.
the
Are you ready,
executive
Phil?
decision. Let's go.
Yes.
Celebrities are lining up to endorse Zohran Mamdani for NYC mayor. He is a Democratic socialist, and he has a lot of creative ideas for how to improve life in the city for the homeless and no one else. He wants free and fast public transportation. He wants publicly run grocery stores, and he wants frozen rents, countless other policy changes that he wants to implement in New York City. And of course, celebrities who are insulated from the consequences of these decisions in policy are the ones who are the loudest supporters for Zohran.
Not even insulated, but have the ability to move if they so desire.
Yes.
If things get bad enough.
So, Zohran is kind of trying to project an image that he is very internet literate and pop culture focused. So he gave an exclusive statement to Pop Crave on X.
I'm sorry. This would be something that normally you would say, but I looked at this guy and I'm like, what is that phenotype? Like, this is the most distrustful face I've ever seen in my life. On the face of a politician.
He's a very
Mamdani?
off-putting
Yes.
person.
On the face of a politician, that smile is the least trustful thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
I am I don't think that is the most common response from people. I think that people think he's charismatic.
But I mean, maybe it's my just natural distrust of politicians,
Fair
but
enough.
a charismatic
biased,
politician
for
is automatically a no for me. Here we go.
Hello to the Pop Crave community. This is Zohran Mamdani. I am running for mayor, and we have polls open today until 9 p.m.
He won,
we are
by the
coming
way.
up to the end of
He
this
did.
election, and it is our last chance to actually make the most expensive city in the United States of America, one that's affordable for each and every New Yorker. I'm running on a platform of freezing the rent for more than 2 million rent-stabilized tenants, making the slowest buses in the country fast and free, and delivering universal childcare, and a vision of a new generation of leadership and leaving the politics and the politicians of the past where they should be, and actually starting to have a vision for something that we can fight for. So please come on out, text your friends, call your family, everyone that you know. This is the time to get out to the polls and win the city that we deserve. Thank you so much, Pop Crave.
Needless to say, we are biased and we already have reason to dislike this guy, but I said he has Vivek Ramaswamy vibes
Yeah,
that
I
are
saw that.
similarly off-putting.
I made that comment last night when I said that Vivek singing Eminem should have ended his political career before it even started. It took H-1B visas to end his political career.
They are quintessential millennial foreign drivers with used car salesman energy. They're trying to be relatable, but they're not.
Well, he comes from a wealthy family. His mother is a famous Hollywood movie producer.
Mm-hmm.
So he comes from money, and I think his dad is a professor. So that's like that actually might be the worst combination of professions ever. Is elitist professor and Hollywood movie producer might produce the Antichrist.
I don't think he's the Antichrist. He's not likable enough. I also wanted to show his plan to drive down food prices in the city with publicly owned grocery stores that have frozen pricing.
Yes.
Grocery prices are out of control. The cost of eggs and milk has skyrocketed. Some stores are even using dynamic pricing, jacking up the cost over the course of a day depending on what they can get away with. It doesn't need to be this way. I'm Zohran Mamdani, and as mayor, I will create a network of city-owned grocery stores. It's like a public option for produce. We will redirect city funds from corporate supermarkets to city-owned grocery stores, whose mission is lower prices, not price gouging. These stores will operate without a profit motive.
Wait, can we go, Phil? Maybe you can explain something to me here.
Whose mission is lower prices, not price gouging. These stores will opt from corporate supermarkets.
We will redirect profits from corporate run grocery stores. Is he talking about profits made in like their taxes?
No. I think he's talking about taking the profits.
Like their property taxes?
No. He's talking about taking taking over the grocery stores.
No, I
So
know,
that way
but he's
he-
not.
and then-
He's not explicitly saying we're going to shut down all the. They're just going to.
They're going to get repossessed by the city government.
Expropriation.
Yes.
Yes.
See, it's all weasel words.
Well, mostly, yeah. I mean, I haven't heard him say anything that's in any way new. These are all old ideas that have been tried multiple times that ruin cities or entire countries. Not one new thing, not one new idea. He's literally just saying, we're going to make everything free and we're going to tax the rich people for it. The rich people are going to Florida, they're going to North Carolina, they're going to South Carolina, and New York is going to have a hollowed out tax base. This is going to be terrible for New
Well,
York
he gets into. I don't remember if it's the next clip where he gets into it. He says, he goes, the companies won't be able to just leave because if they do business here, it doesn't matter if they're headquartered here in New York. Even if they do business here, they'll be taxed.
He can't stop them from leaving.
No, but the point is, he's saying like it has nothing to do with where they're headquartered. If they leave the state and they go and they move their headquarters to
Yes.
Florida, if they do business in the
they'll just
state
stop-
of New
they'll just
York,
stop
they'll just stop doing
they'll
it.
just
Like,
stop,
he's
like-
ignoring the fact that they will just stop doing
Well, he
business
believes,
because they want that.
He believes the incentive for them to do business in New York is just too much to refuse.
That's ridiculous. If you're
However-
going to take all of their profits,
he said
or if you're
they're
going to
gonna-
expropriate their profits through taxation, then you're not. There's no reason to do business there.
And I think I worked out in my head why I hate like celebrity Hollywood socialists more than your average socialist, which is that they don't even do a profession that requires them to be financially literate because they ask billionaires for the money to make their movies. So they don't actually even make the movies themselves. They get rich people to pay for them to make their movies and then advocate for policies that will hollow out the money of the people that actually pay for them to make their art.
Well, On to the celebrities. I'm not shocked at all that he's gotten an avalanche of celebrity endorsements in recent days. We should show first this endorsement from Cynthia Nixon on the way to the polls.
Here we go.
It is election day. I'm on my way to vote. I
she
don't
would
know
go
that
to
I have ever been more excited to vote for anyone than I am to vote for Zohran Mamdani. I've got my button. I've got my Don't Rank Cuomo t-shirt, but I have them hidden because I'm going to a polling site. Zohran 1, Brad 2, Adrian 3, Stringer 4, Michael Blake 5. And whatever you do, don't rank Cuomo. Vote for Jumaane, vote for Justin Brannan. We have a chance to make sure that our corrupt, sexual harassing,
You mean Italian?
You mean he's Italian? Come on.
donor supported, disgraced former governor is not elected mayor of New York, and we have a chance. Oh, we're within the polling site now. We have a chance to elect Zohran to have fast free buses, to have rent stabilized apartments with the rent frozen. We have subsidized grocery stores, and we have free child care from ages 6 months to 5 years. We have a guy who will stand up to Trump, and we will have a guy who creates a city for all of us. Make sure you vote today and don't rank Cuomo.
So what exactly is a mayor going to do to stand up to Trump? Like
we talked about this last night. It was the trying to make it a sanctuary city and to not work together with Trump when it comes to ICE raids.
Well, I mean, I don't know that that's exactly.
Well, I have
what
the
she
website.
means,
I have
but
the website pulled up because he talks about Trump-proofing NYC.
Trump.
Donald Trump is tearing at the fabric of New York City in his second term. He has deployed ICE agents to pluck New Yorkers from their families. It's like a Maryland man. He has already sent prices skyrocketing with tariffs, and he has threatened vital social services that working New Yorkers rely on every day. I don't know how that would be if they run their own social services on a state, at the state level. Like, what does that have to do with federal programming? Because that's a different thing than what he would be capable of fixing anyways. He'll ensure our immigrant New Yorkers are protected by strengthening our sanctuary city apparatus, getting ICE out of all city facilities, and ending any cooperation, including legal support in protecting all personal data. He'll make NYC an LGBTQIA plus sanctuary city.
What does that even mean? A sanctuary from what?
Yes, and protect reproductive rights.
It'll probably be if you're underage and you go there, they will help provide you with like gender mutilation and stuff.
So
Yeah.
that's how they're Trump-proofing NYC.
So Zohran is also cornering the hot girl vote with Emrata's endorsement on TikTok. She's wearing a shirt here that says "Hot Girls for Zohran."
God.
It is Emily Ratajkowski, and
Zohran Mamdani.
it's election day today. You need to get to the polls. They're open till 9 p.m. What else do they need to know?
Go to zohranfornyc.com/vote. You can find out where your poll site is. Text your friends and family because we need everybody to come out. And make sure you're drinking water because it's a very hot day.
This election is going to be decided by young voters. The average New Yorker is 38 years old. The last mayoral race was decided by 7,000 voters. That means that your vote really matters. Go ahead, get out there. We know it's hot, but the time is now.
Let's do it.
It is Emily.
He does have a very unique, non-threatening charisma.
Non-threatening.
It's the way he has this like aw shucks demeanor.
I mean, maybe that's
It's
appealing to a certain subset of liberal women.
Well, yes,
but
that is true. I mean, that's who came out and voted for this.
Trump's appeal is definitely not in being non-threatening. Another foreign-born immigrant, Lorde, issued her endorsement for Zohran on Instagram. She can't even vote.
Super annoying.
But she said, "You already know this is an exciting and important mayoral election in NYC. I can't vote, but if I could, I'd rank the one candidate with a crystal clear vision of the city we want to live in. One that looks beyond the wealthiest New Yorkers to offer sensible and caring paths forward on climate, transport, housing security, and much more. Get thee to the polls." You shouldn't speak on it because you're not American, and neither is he. You might have the citizenship status, but I don't care. This guy isn't American.
I think it was what was this?
He's
the
a
one
foreigner with a chip on his shoulder.
I do remember this post. People were talking about queer liberation means defund the police. This was from back in 2020.
Literally word salad garbage.
Doesn't mean anything.
He also got endorsements from Michael Moore, from Bowen Yang on SNL. I think another SNL actor named Sarah Squirm.
I saw that Kumail Nanjiani did. That
Yes.
breaks my heart, given the fact that I love his X-Files podcast. Always have.
Not surprising at all, of course. And 50 Cent, on the other hand, is speaking out against Zohran.
Truth to power.
Nice.
50 Cent.
Posted a
50
clip
is
of
the
him
man.
from Breakfast Club the other day saying, "Where did he come from? Whose friend is this? I'm not feeling this plan. I will give him 200,000, 58, 750, and a first-class one-way ticket away from New York. I'm telling Trump what he said, too." And then you look at the comment section, everyone is tearing 50 Cent for saying this. You know, you're an oligarch, you're protecting the mega rich, you're a sellout, blah, blah, blah. But I guess he's speaking truth to power here.
Yes, he is. They've done an excellent job on the left of turning the billionaire class into the only group more hateable than politicians to people, because politicians are so naturally detestable, at least in my estimation.
I mean, okay. After the election last year, we'll actually read this 21st. From Morgan Xavier. Writing a sci-fi novel to earn money so I can homeschool my kids here in Canada. Phil, could I interview you as research for the stratified republic I've created? My stories about aliens, music, pedo-eating monsters. I'm at Love for Tim Dillon.
What on earth even was that?
I guess Phil needs more context before
Yes.
he can give you an answer on that.
Yeah, could I interview you as a research for the
okay.
stratified republic I've created?
I'm guessing that's part of the book.
The celebrity fanfare around Zohran right now completely disproves everything that people on the right were saying post-election last year, which is celebrities have completely lost their credibility. They have been humiliated. They have no influence over elections. They have even distanced themselves from making political statements, etc. None of that is true. And we've seen that especially over the last couple of months with their being outspoken about the ICE protests and about Palestine and now about endorsing Zohran, even the ones who don't live in New York City. They don't feel any sort of shame about it. They have no practical concern about losing influence for being politically outspoken. This is still not just acceptable, but what they consider advantageous to their careers in entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, so much for that cultural vibe shift is all I'm saying.
I think that it goes beyond that. The idea that the woke are defeated because Donald Trump won, that was something that people were saying, you know, especially at the end of last year. Well, it was never true because you don't, you can't just elect someone and then all the people that disagree with you say, shucks, we're done for, you know, we can't do anything anymore, blah, blah, blah. It was a ridiculous idea. And it was a ridiculous idea to build any kind of even writing think pieces about it was stupid because it was so obviously not true.
There were so many of them too.
Yeah, it's so dumb. So these ideas are that the left has and that people like Mamdani have, they have been absolutely destroyed by the 20th century. You can go back and look at all the attempts of to have socialized medicine or socialized whatever, and it's just not going anywhere. And the wealthy liberals are always going to be the people that are going to be promoting these ideas. So the idea that your average Hollywood celebrity was going to change their idea or wouldn't come out and endorse this, no, they're definitely right on board because it sounds nice, and according to them, there are enough billionaires to pay everyone's bills, and we can still have a functioning society, and yada yada. It's all a pipe dream. But
I do, however, think that they will end up getting Lin-Manuel Miranda to play him in the movie because they both have that same annoying energy.
Lin-Manuel Miranda in brown face in
Yes.
the Zohran biopic.
Yeah.
2035.
Yeah, that's my bet in a couple of years.
It's just the narrative the right was going with post-election was celebrities have finally been humbled once and for all. They know that they've lost their power over the culture. They are going to retreat from making political statements and being out of touch with the public because they know they have lost their influence. But that's not true, and the result speaks for itself. I'm not saying that Zohran won the nomination purely because of his endorsements from celebrities, but you can't say it has nothing to do with it.
I mean,
What? You can't say that his endorsements from celebrities has nothing to do with it?
Yeah.
I don't think the celebrities affected the. I don't think they did.
I think his ground game makes up for a lot of this. He's very social media literate, and he was putting out stuff consistently. And a primary is already one where voters who are more inclined are going to go. It would be very different if this was a battleground state and it was a Republican versus Democrat.
I'm just saying that the user base on TikTok, contrary to popular belief, is not a bunch of 8-year-olds. And there are plenty of young adults who are able to vote and who live in New York City watching that content, and it is having an impact.
So I still want to know why they would want no-cost childcare if the left thinks that you shouldn't be having. It's literally right next to climate change on here. I thought you weren't supposed to be having kids because of the climate, so why would you need no-cost childcare? One wonders.
Yeah, that's for the welfare queens.
All right, let's move on.
Beyonce is currently on tour for her Cowboy Carter album, and because this is a country album, supposedly, she is leaning into a lot of Americana aesthetics. And in a recent concert photo, she was pictured wearing a shirt that pays tribute to the Buffalo Soldiers. And I didn't know anything about the history of this army regiment before a controversy exploded over her shirt. But her fans are very unhappy with her right now. The Buffalo Soldiers were black soldiers who served in the U.S. Army, primarily on the American frontier following the Civil War. They were part of an all-black cavalry and infantry regiments established in 1866, and they were formed to help control Native American populations, to protect settlers, and maintain order on the western frontier. The nickname Buffalo Soldiers was reportedly given to them by Native American tribes, with theories suggesting it was a sign of respect due to the soldiers' bravery in fierce fighting. The term eventually became synonymous with all of the black regiments established in 1866. And she also, on the back of the shirt, had this long history of the Buffalo Soldiers explained, but that wasn't visible in the pictures. Her fans are deeply disappointed in this erasure of Native American tribes.
You can't celebrate Americana and believe in intersectional politics. Yeah. It's going to come into conflict.
Their argument is essentially that the Buffalo Soldiers were used by the government to enact genocide on indigenous populations in the frontier. Her fans said, "Beyonce is one of my all-time favorite artists. I'm so upset. Why is she glorifying the genocide of indigenous Americans? The Buffalo Soldiers were used to ethnically cleanse indigenous people from Turtle Island." Another response said, "Pushing U.S. military propaganda that romanticizes atrocities against indigenous people and enemies of peace, quote unquote, the day after the U.S. bombs a Middle Eastern country under the guise that they're also enemies of peace, is a disgusting and clearly deliberate choice." I don't know what Iran has to do with any of this, but okay. The Buffalo Soldiers were given false promises, and a good portion of them were mostly owned slaves, manipulated into doing dirty work for white men. This is a nuanced part of history. It makes me sad that Beyonce would glorify such a difficult and terrible thing. Another one said, "Beyonce is not your friend. She does not care about justice or liberation. She does not care about being on the right side of history. She is capitalism incarnate, and everything she does is in service of making money. The Buffalo Soldiers, this should only shock you if you're dumb." I don't know why they needed someone to explain this to them.
I guarantee that person had no idea what Buffalo Soldiers were before stepping into this thing here. Like, they probably heard Buffalo Soldier the first time when they heard that Beyonce was doing something that paid homage to the Buffalo Soldiers.
They're flooding her comment section right now, trying to alert her attention to this, get an apology out of her. You've inspired generations in your commitment to honoring Black excellence and legacy, but what happened at your show wearing a Buffalo Soldiers t-shirt with no Indigenous representation was a missed opportunity, and it hurt. Then she said, you could have worn Native, you could have honored Indigenous designers who are creating Western wear rooted in cultural legacy, not colonial fantasy.
Here's one. All excessive nationalism without self-criticism is fascism.
Don't care.
It's just like funny to me that there are so many people who formed a parasocial relationship with Beyonce that think she's their friend or that think that she is an activist. Obviously, everything she does is in service of making money. Why did you need someone to explain that to you? That's just mind-boggling to me, how childish they are. And then Swifties hopped on this controversy and drew a comparison with one of Taylor Swift's shows honoring or doing a land acknowledgement before the show. Taylor Swift's team probably wrote this up and put it up on a projector. We acknowledge that we are performing today at Rogers Center located on Treaty 13 lands, traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit and the traditional home of many other nations, including the Anishinabeg, Haudenosaunee, Chippewa, and Wendat peoples. We acknowledge the First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples whose original and treaty territories we stand upon. So Taylor Swift's team was all over preventing a type of controversy like this. Beyonce's team was slacking.
Socially conscious music.
Meanwhile, there's Taylor, who honored and recognized Indigenous people at the highest grossing tour ever.
So stupid.
I mean, isn't it just as bad to do a land acknowledgement and then profit off of performing on that land anyway? Like, what's the value in doing a land acknowledgement?
Well,
they even did that at the Oscars earlier this year, which a lot of people were surprised by because of the supposed cultural vibe shift against such posturing. But they do it anyway. This isn't a new thing, and it's not going to go away anytime soon.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not going to go away anytime soon. But it is likely going to go away.
When?
I just said not anytime soon.
I see no signs.
Well, I think that there's a significant portion of the population that's really tired of this stuff. You do see if there was no chance of it going to go away, or there was no chance of it going away, then you wouldn't see people stop doing it. You would only have more and more people doing it. Now there are not as many land acknowledgements, and this type of stuff is only done with the most politically active entertainers. You don't see it from everybody, and you don't see it all the time, and you see it less now than you ever have, or than you have since it kind of became a thing. So I do think that it'll go away. I just don't think that I think that people that have said, "Oh, woke is dead," I think that's an overestimation, and that's speaking, getting out ahead of your skis. But I do think that it's not popular with most people. So
I am slightly surprised that they displayed that message at a Taylor Swift concert, but in all likelihood, Taylor Swift had no idea that they made that decision. It was completely something that was come up with by her team to mitigate an upcoming social media disaster. Like, she probably had no part in making that decision.
I personally don't look at celebrities, especially, have been activists and virtue signalers for decades upon decades upon decades. This will never stop. I actually think it only gets worse in so much as that whole brands will be built off of it, whereas in the past they had the ability to do it at an award show. Now they have the ability to do it anytime, anywhere. The difference is you as a user on the internet will have the ability to choose from whence you spend your money, and you can go ahead and follow those people. But this thing is somebody like Beyonce is such level of fame that a lot of people will hold their nose and support, even if she says things that they don't like. But younger artists will build their whole brand around this type of stuff, especially in music, as we've discussed. Like, music especially seems to be a place where a lot of this activism finds its way into the promotional material in a unique way.
I think most importantly, Beyonce's country album was not received well, and you can see that in the ticket sales. We were just talking about that a couple of months ago, that she can barely sell these shows. And with someone like Beyonce having her name, you would think she'd have no issue whatsoever selling out a stadium, but she's struggling to market herself even, and performing similarly ridiculous stunts to Katy Perry to attract attention. It's not working. We have a 20 from Cesario JPN. The No Kings demonstrations in Hawaii got renamed to No Dictators to show solidarity to the overthrown Hawaiian kingdom. Ironically enough, the date of the protests fell on the birthday of King Kamehameha the Great.
Cowboy Carter I saw somebody mention this in the chat, so thank you. I didn't grab your name. Cowboy Carter, obviously, it did outsell Post Malone's country album by quite a margin, double. 1 million units for Cowboy Carter and about 500,000 for Post Malone.
People buying physical copies of it?
I'm assuming that that's physical sales and maybe that's digital sales as well. But the point is it outsold it, and
but she's not able to sell out her tour.
I mean, yeah, I guess it's and for her, the shirt is a different beast than making a post about it. I guess no, really, because it wasn't somebody else's post. It was her post about it with all of the history. I mean, then that's just intersectionalism. It's where do you put your value on the lives of the black soldiers or the lives of the Native Americans? She's throwing her hat in the ring for the black soldiers, which is just her own version of identity politics. The difference is her audience can virtue signal on whichever side they want at any given time. The next week she could post something about a different regimen that has something to do with white folks, and they will side with them rather than the white folks, because it's all about where you fall on the identity hierarchy. In this case, Native Americans fall higher than the black soldiers because by their estimation, the black soldiers were doing the bidding of white men.
Right. It's self-defeating.
It's all stupid.
I don't think Beyonce is particularly well versed in American history anyway, but she was just
Didn't she say that
having a moment.
Didn't she say that like America was all racist and stuff at one point? It's like
I'm sure she has.
Something along the lines of, if you're America's so racist, or racism is such a part of America, that to say something critical about racism is to come across as critical of America or something like that. Which is, I mean, obviously, it's insanely stupid. Like, the idea that the United States is the most racist place ever is, I mean, it's literally the opposite of true. It is probably the least racist place in the whole world, and not only in the whole world, but in human history.
Not if you listen to Whoopi Goldberg, though.
Well, yeah,
according to Whoopi Goldberg, life as a black American is in some regard worse than living as a woman in Iran.
Yeah, well, she's a moron too.
All right. What would you like to see, cringe or cute of the day?
We already know the answer.
Cringe first.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Here we go.
This is Jason Kelsey.
Mary had to ask me, like, what is this? What is this thing?
I dislike Jason Kelsey.
She doesn't know. She doesn't watch football, but she knows she doesn't like Jason Kelsey.
Not one bit. Why?
Bro definitely lost some weight, though.
No one wants to see that.
And you asked, what did you ask earlier? What was the question you asked earlier? You're like, do people like this guy?
Oh, like, does he have a fan base outside of being related to Travis Kelsey?
Yes, he does. He's got a very loyal... Have you ever seen the lady, or no, is the guy has like a tattoo of Jason Kelsey on his body?
What the fuck?
Yeah.
What is the spell that he has cast over people?
He has, like an everyman. Like, he's a... I think that football fans could see them as him, so it's like a self-insert.
I hate the whole, like, I'm a normal guy and I like dancing around on tables and drinking tons of beer and flopping my belly around. Like, I'm so stupid. That's your brand? Is that you're just a dumbass?
That's his brand. That's his brand.
I did not want to see Jason Kelsey in a Speedo, so all of you have to suffer through it with me.
Time for cute of the day. I picked out a dogs because Phil likes dogs. Here we
Dogs
go.
are the best.
This is from Kyle Dixon. Says Caroline and Millie smoked a 5.5 kilometer obstacle race, 3.4 miles in freedom units.
Awesome.
Athletes.
Awesome dogs.
Good
Very
for them.
cute and good for them.
But they're not as good as the cat Olympics.
Oh yeah. So first there was cat high dive, which was great. There was dog
Loved
high
it.
dive. Now there's cat Olympic gymnastics, which
I'm
is my new
obsessed.
favorite. They're very good athletes. All right, let's get started.
Rachel Zegler is back in the news doing press for her starring role in Evita. She is showing this in a revival play in London. And of course, all of the interviews related to this new project are hearkening back to the Snow White backlash era of her career, which wasn't that long ago. But she wants to...
I thought that was still going on, actually.
I mean, I've noticed it slowing down, but they're doing everything they can to revive this discourse over and over and over again. This time, in an interview with ID magazine, Rachel Zegler revealed that the Snow White backlash got so devastating for her that she had to turn to therapy and psychiatric medication to cope with how difficult this was. She is in this article posing for ID. The headline of it says, Rachel Zegler, theater kid, based princess.
Remember when I
After
told you a long
breaking-
time ago that word means nothing anymore and both sides use it
They've adopted
interchangeably?
it
Yeah,
Based?
themselves.
everybody just uses the word based. It doesn't matter anymore.
After breaking records on Broadway, the 24-year-old actor is playing her dream part on London's West End. No amount of bullying or scandal can change that. She's also quoted in this article saying, I'm a theater kid that got everything she wanted. Nothing more needs to be said. But then, shortly into the interview, they address Snow White. Zegler's journey with Snow White was never easy, despite the fact that she's proud of it. Shakiness of the film's narrative aside, she is great and commanding as its titular princess, through which she became the subject of internet schadenfreude. Every lip curl, paparazzi photo, and pull, quote, torn apart. She is, in some ways, a living example of the sensationalist power of tabloid media, where facts are bent and sources say whatever, knowing there's little chance of them having to deal with the consequences. A prominent Variety article spun things out so publicly that a petition was created to defend Rachel Zegler against online hate. And I think that they are referring to the one written by Tatiana Siegel shortly after the release of the movie this year, where they were mostly focusing on her social media posts about Palestine, including on the same day of the trailer release saying Free Palestine underneath it. However, they conveniently ignored all of the starting points for controversy around Rachel Zegler having to do with her comments about Snow White itself. The PR drama imploded when she posted, "Always remember Free Palestine," the same day of the Snow White trailer drop. Zegler's post supposedly sent reps at Disney into such a spiral that, according to Variety, the film's producer, Mark Platt, flew from LA to New York to ask her to delete it. And Platt's 38-year-old son, Jonah, corroborated this story online.
He flew to ask her to delete it. That's crazy.
That you would even need to be face-to-face with her to bully her into deleting that post instead of just making that demand, which you have the full right to do as her employer. Whether that conversation happened or not, Rachel Zegler's message remains on the platform, and it was the last thing she posted on X. She doesn't use it anymore, so that's her final message on that platform. She's someone who harbors the political stance of a generation that doesn't buy into the gleaming and digestible image of Disney princesses. Well, maybe that's a sign that she shouldn't have been one. She's maybe the most based princess in the House of Mouse. She was scolded after posting F Donald Trump in the wake of last year's election results on Instagram and apologized for it. That is not what she apologized for. She was apologizing for the part of the post they conveniently left out where she said, F the Trump supporters, and I hope you never know peace. Of course, they're not going to mention that in this flattering puff piece. It's interesting, she says. It's really alarming at times when asked about the opinions formed about her online. She's one of the few actors in Hollywood who was willing to ask questions about how we were collectively responding to the atrocities in Gaza, and asked herself what really mattered. I didn't see her asking any questions. She was just making a bunch of statements because she thinks she knows everything.
Well, everybody thinks that it's time to start a discussion.
A platform becomes a responsibility, and that responsibility is ours to use as we please, she says. If she's been a punchy conversationalist so far, her tone is now direct. My compassion has no boundaries, is really what it is, and my support for one cause does not denounce any others. That's always been at the core of who I am as a person. It's the way I was raised. They ask her if she was ever worried about the consequences of being politically outspoken, and she said, there are obviously things that are at stake by being outspoken, but nothing is worth innocent lives. My heart doesn't have a fence around it, and if that is considered my downfall, she shrugs. So be it.
So be it.
Well,
There are worse things.
you know, there's a self-righteousness in that tone, and the internet has made it so that you have to be concerned about things thousands upon thousands of miles away that don't actually concern you.
Okay, they're just still obfuscating, though. That's what really annoys me. It was never about her statements on Palestine. I think actually the people within her own industry were more bothered by that. The audience didn't give a fuck. They didn't care about her disagreeing with Gal Gadot about Israel and Palestine. That was never the focus. The focus was always on her statements about Snow White itself, about the story, and demeaning it, saying that it's outdated, that she was scared of it, that she wants it to have a modern reimagination. That was the start, the origin, and the meaning of all the controversy surrounding her. None of it had to do with her statements about Palestine ever. And if it had just boiled down to that, no one would have had any problem with her whatsoever.
And it did come to, like you said, the other part that they obfuscate is that it had to do with her comments about Trump voters, not necessarily Trump himself. As
Yes.
every celebrity hates Trump, and people have long since accepted that that's just the way
Yes.
it's going to be. You roll your eyes and you move on.
But again, they are conveniently ignoring that. Rachel was pinned with the blame for Snow White's commercial failure, despite the production's creative issues and its lukewarm reviews.
I love that they're blaming her when the whole thing was like an S show from like Inception, and they're like, oh, it's the loudmouth's fault.
Thank you. Standing on business at the beach.
Phil likes this one more.
Is that just at the beach? At the beach?
It's Justin Bieber yelling at the paparazzi
Okay.
that he's
Good.
standing on business.
Yeah.
At the beach.
At the beach. So, yeah, they're placing the blame from the framework of this article
Thank
on
God.
Disney rather than her. They're saying it's unfair that she was blamed. And I think partially that is true. They scripted it terribly. It would have been terrible regardless of the actress they chose,
Yes.
but she wasn't doing it any favors. Her thoughts on the original Snow White, made nearly 100 years ago, which highlighted how its now shaky gender politics were being reimagined for a new generation, became additional fodder for trolls to call her ungrateful for the part. So
No, that was the original fodder. It was the real fodder.
yeah, they're acting like that was something added as a cherry on top of her controversy, when in reality that's where it started in 2022, which is ancient history in internet years. That was where it all began. But none of the journalists want to recognize that, because they would rather make it about race, and they would rather make it about Palestine and Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Anyway, she was also a young woman of Colombian descent, playing a part that right-wing pundits felt was destined for a white woman. The combination of online vitriol and watching a dream role turn into a nightmare affected her deeply.
Well, it was Snow White, you know.
It was a role destined for a white woman,
Yes.
but that also was never the focal point of the controversy. And it's not something I would even say doesn't warrant criticism. Like, it just wasn't the majority of it.
Because most people that aren't like hyper online are like me, who are just like, yeah, I don't know. Like, as
Yes.
long as they're not annoying, I guess I don't care.
And you need only look to
Yeah.
the previous example of the live-action Little Mermaid movie to see that race was not the focal point of the controversy, because Halle Bailey was not a victim to racist bullying at all. She's just not an annoying person who was making it a focus. She never spoke to it. She said only positive things about the movie, and yeah, it sucked. And yeah, it sucked that they chose a race swap. But she was not blamed for it because she didn't make herself the activist. Then they say when shit really hit the fan, Rachel Zegler left New York to go home to New Jersey, spending time with her family and her dog. Quote, "My effing psychiatrist has been seeing me through all of it. She needed to remind me that what we're going through isn't normal. That sentence did such wonders for me in multiple situations in my life. She got medicated for anxiety too, which was truly a game changer, as she puts it, because I just wasn't functioning. And I wanted to function in a way that made me feel confident in the way I was moving through the world." So I guess SSRIs were the only way. At the end of the day, soon she was able to rationalize things that previously felt big and insurmountable. There's a framing online of Zegler as a self-defined victim. Quote, "I think a victim mindset is a choice, and I don't choose it. I also don't choose nastiness in the face of it. I don't choose negativity in the face of it. I choose positivity and light and happiness."
There's,
Mrs. F. Donald Trump and his supporters.
Yeah, there's
choosing positivity and light.
There's
So
a there's a level of absolute gall to be able to say that with a straight face.
I mean, she has the gall to completely act oblivious
the
to how
thing
she's
that's
conducted herself.
a huge part of Hollywood leftism is like being evil to people, being mean to people online, but since you believe it's for a good cause, you're a good person.
Yeah,
Choosing
Like
positivity.
I had a friend who I've had people bring up, they're like they think that this show that we do is a net negative for society because you're putting negative energy out into the world. And I said, have you ever been on Facebook? Like, unless you're going to tell me that the average everyday Facebook conversation between a boomer and somebody isn't just as negative as everything else, at least here we're kind of working our way through entire sets of ideas and giving thoughts in a way that I would like to believe most of the time is pretty fair. Like we said, like for her, I think that the article is going overboard to obfuscate what the problem is. I will give her credit for something, however, though. So, a 405% bump in views on Disney Plus over PVOD. And I noticed that this article frames it as basically people were willing to watch it. They just weren't willing to pay for it, right?
Yeah.
But still, it did numbers on Disney Plus, right?
Sure,
Fine,
once
sure.
it was readily available.
Once it was readily available. But the point is that they love to frame everything as, because they believe it's a good, what they believe what they're sharing with the world is a good thing, that they can be as nasty as they want to somebody else because it's for a good cause.
So there's this quote by Aldous Huxley that says, there is nothing that humans love more than to be able to destroy with good conscience. To be able to behave badly and call your bad behavior righteous indignation. This is the height of psychological luxury. It is the most delicious of moral treats. People love to hurt other people when they believe they are doing it for good and moral reasons. And that's a big part of the reason why the left does all the cancel culture and has no problem, swatting people or trying to get people hurt when they disagree, because they believe deep inside that if you disagree with them, it is because you are immoral and you have some kind of inherent badness to you. So it's acceptable to not just treat you badly, but to do everything they can to harm you, even, and in extreme cases, up to and including, murder and stuff like that.
This was something I brought up yesterday, because
Yeah.
there was a baseball player who was on the field when his mother died tragically, like 5 years prior, and a fan like heckled him and said like awful stuff about his mom.
Yep.
And he was on the field crying because he missed his mom, and it was sad. And every one of the comments was like, "We need this dude's banning him from the field isn't enough. We need to figure out who he is so that
Destroy
he
his
can.
life,
So we need to
yeah.
destroy this dude's life," because they felt that they have a morally justified justifiable reason to be awful and ruin a person's life. And there's nothing more enticing to a certain subset of person because they feel so morally inclined to do so.
Yep.
And it's not just along the lines of political affiliation either.
No, this was
you can
baseball.
See that in politically neutral environments like baseball. You can see it happen on the right as well. There's just as much purity spiraling.
Well, look what happened when Kyle Rittenhouse was like, yeah, I'm not going to vote for Trump. And then they're like, this is the end of your life as you know it.
Hellfire they rained down on him for that. It was definitely educational to watch that happen. And it's true. It's just a universal fact of the vices that we're drawn to.
Human beings love to hurt people they believe are not or are immoral.
Yeah. She also finished by saying, I believe at times happiness is absolutely a choice, and every day I wake up and I think I'm very lucky to live the life I live. So, maybe if you're an optimist, you'll believe that Rachel Zegler has shifted her attitude over this learning experience of Snow White. And if you're like me, you believe it's all a front.
There you go. All right, let's go Super Chats.
Shane H. Wilder said, happy Thrashing Thursday, Brett, Mary, and Phil.
Thank you, Shane.
Liver King got arrested for threatening Joe Rogan yesterday. I think the steroids got to his brain. So wait, how did he threaten Joe Rogan? Like, what actually happened?
Technically, he didn't threaten him. He said he wants to fight him.
Okay. In like a controlled environment?
If I understand correctly, yeah, because he was like, look, Joe Rogan knows how to fight. I want to fight him. I don't want to kill him, blah, 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 because who would want to hurt? He's got a family and blah, 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 but I do want to fight him because he ruined me or something along those lines.
What did Joe Rogan do?
I don't really know.
He was arrested for making terroristic threats.
Terroristic threats?
Yeah, it says...
okay.
He was arrested. His name's Brian Johnson. It doesn't have the same ring to it as Liver King.
Wait, is that the same name as the...
It's the same. It's spelled differently. That dude is with a Y, and Liver King is B-R-I.
The don't die guy.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
It says, in a separate video, Johnson shows off his ankle monitor and reveals that Rogan took out a restraining order against him, which prevents him from coming within 200 yards of the podcaster. Johnson, at times calling Rogan by name, said he has a 9 p.m. curfew and is not allowed out of that space, presumably his Austin hotel room, until 6 a.m. the following day. Rogan versus Liver King, Johnson added, is still happening.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
The roid rage.
The Liver King.
AI Shih Tzu said, been rewatching the 16:9 X-Files remaster. It's legit. Great audio, cropping looks good. SFX alone and visuals look solid on a big TV. Recommended.
In general, in general, I'm not a fan of something that was shot to be displayed in 4:3 being put into 16:9. One of the reasons I like watching old unmastered versions of shows is I want to see it how it was originally made in the square box format. I don't like it when
I prefer it too. I don't know why.
Like, there's something about it that just feels very of the time. Like, I don't want to see the redone version of it. It would be different maybe if like you didn't see it that way, if like the first time you ever saw it was on a box set where it was remastered, so you only ever saw the 16:9 version of it, but I would prefer the original.
Cleggy said, what is up, Brett, Mary, and Phil? Friendly reminder that in Spanish, the word for non-binary is no binario or no binaria, depending on the user's gender. Stay toxic, my friends.
It's so funny. I typed when I went to look up the Liver King thing, I typed in Tiger King because in my mind, they're basically the same thing.
They should have a show together.
They should
have a reality TV show.
Like Tiger King and Liver King.
Only one will rise to power.
And it will be a no kings
Only
protest.
One will take the throne.
One king protest. Okay, let's hold off on the rest and we'll come back.
Gen Z TikTokers have taken to showing off their so-called depression rooms with each other on the platform. And they essentially live in pigsties. They live in filth because of their depression. And they think that this is an acceptable thing, not only to show people in the interest of mental health awareness, but they also are boasting about it like it's something to be proud of. Social media users share candid videos of their depression rooms in a new trend. Let's show some examples.
Which one do you want to start with?
This one is
this one here.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Got some food waste.
Says
Great
empty
stuff.
guacamole. I'm scared to be part of a depression room. Here's a.
It's just rotting food in your
At least
living
it's got
space.
a cover on it.
Empty soda and food trash. Come to the land of the lost and lonely, she says. Trash bags and litter box. Don't be afraid. We'll be one big family. Clothes and etc. pile.
Okay, that's rude. Like to make your dog sit in that
Oh, gosh.
mess.
Some of these people have pets and children, and obviously that's unacceptable. I mean, if you just want to subject yourself to living in filth, that is one thing, but forcing an animal or a child to live through it is entirely another.
Here's another one. Asmongold sweating right now, by the way.
Yeah, seriously. Finally cleaning my depression room. Disclaimer, I have diagnosed severe depression. My room gets messy often, and it's hard for me to clean up. I did my best. I'll be taking the trash out tomorrow morning, and the can return will get done soon, so I have some cash for groceries. I still need to vacuum, though. The tools on the ground are because there was a nasty stain, and I put baking soda and vinegar on it to let it set.
It's an absolute. It's like this weird kind of paradox where the room's being messy itself adds to your depression, but you don't have the ability to then go and clean it.
Again, the rotting food just laying around. They all have tons of crap, like Funko Pops stacked up and plushies. They've got all. I mean, I don't know if these people are teenagers who live under their parents' roof, but this is absolutely unacceptable.
Yeah.
Here's another
Just
one.
disgusting. There's something very childish about it. You see a lot of toys in the room, like it's something you were never taught to do as a child. I was forced to clean my room.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, they checked under the bed to see if I just shoved all of my toys under the bed.
Here's some photos.
Yeah, this one is a slideshow. The side of depression that the media doesn't romanticize.
Correct.
All of this is invisible to me. I have no energy. I fall asleep here every night. I do my makeup here. This is one of the less terrible ones. Everything just ends up everywhere. Things just accumulate and doesn't stop. Weeks worth of moldy banana peels and garbage. It consumes me. This time lasted 3 weeks. But I pulled myself out. Time to hang up my clothes. Time to clean up my mess. There are stains on her desk. Time to organize my things, clean the garbage and clutter, clean the mold. Literally breathing mold.
Gross.
Ugh, because you know what they say, your external environment is a reflection of your internal, and only you have the keys for that.
Maybe
Exactly.
the whole problem, the reason nobody's getting married is because they have no room they can bring somebody home to. Maybe,
Oh, I've seen cleaning my depression room before fine shit comes over. Because the only reason you could possibly use to motivate yourself to not live in a sty is fine shit coming over and being disgusted by how you live.
I mean, I kind of my commentary on this is less about whether it's good or bad. Obviously, I think it's bad to externalize this in the form of social media and make something out of it because it kind of pathologizes it, makes it even harder to get rid of.
I don't think they're pathologizing it. I think that they're actually trying to destigmatize living in filth.
And the
They're
problem
trying
is
to make it normalized. They're saying, like,
Yeah.
this is what the media doesn't show you about living with depression.
And it's not good.
It's
very real.
self-inflicted, at least to a degree. You are actually making your depressive symptoms worse
Yes.
by living like this.
Yeah, the
it's
problem
a
is
self-inflicted problem.
It gets the worse your depression gets, the worse the mess gets, and the worse the mess gets, the harder it is to actually get started cleaning it up, which makes it impossible, which makes the depression worse. And it really is a external sign of how you feel internally. It's one of the reasons why cleaning up after yourself daily is a very, very good thing for your self-esteem.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Well, when you aim to destigmatize or normalize something like a depression room, or who knows, laying in bed all day, bed rotting, doom scrolling, not performing basic hygiene, these types of things, you end up in a situation where young, impressionable people enter a competition for who can be the most disgusting and dysfunctional of them all because there's some kind of achievement in that. this one girl posted a video of her sister's room saying, "My sister wins the award for worst depression room."
I hope this was planned.
My
This
sister
is,
win-
like really, really rude to do this.
Oh yeah, and you can see in this video her sister is laying on the floor, lifeless, passed out in the middle of trash. There she is.
On her phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
This is so self-indulgent.
Yep.
Like, I almost think it's someone trying to pretend that they're more mentally unstable than they actually are.
Well,
in
you know,
an external way.
those things are social currency nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this is also related to the fact that people dress like slobs now. And as I've been making...
I hate that so
Yeah.
much.
As I've been making content about fashion trends, most of them revolve around looking as slovenly and lazy as possible in the interest of being comfortable. And that's what a lot of people are
Why?
commenting. They're saying, why are you hating? All of these trends are just making us feel comfortable. Like, these clothes are so comfy. I don't think that you should dress primarily in the interest
comfort,
of
yeah.
being comfortable, actually.
I spent a very long time finding like a happy medium between looking put together and wearing something that I actually want to go out
This
in.
stuff all just makes me want to wear a suit all the time. Like maybe not with a tie, but
Makes
like
you want to live like Patrick Bateman.
slacks. Well, like slacks and a jacket. Well, I'll wear a t-shirt. That's fine. But like slacks and a jacket, like that would all this stuff makes me think I want to look nice. And I want to look like I'm putting some effort into myself, because everyone that looks like a slob drives me nuts.
We have destigmatized depression in the interest of mental health awareness and activism to the point where it is stigmatized to be a functioning, clean, organized person.
Yeah. Why would you need to go out like that? You're just contributing to white supremacy somehow.
Yeah, you're actually dressing for the patriarchy or capitalism or something.
Yeah.
Like, these people are living in biohazards, and they're posting about it in the interest of finding a community.
Yeah, like think about how far we've fallen from the days where like your mom would clean the apartment before the person who comes over to help clean comes over. Like, like you know, or your mom would be like, "Clean your room. We've got company coming over," and you're like, "They're not going to be coming into my room, are they?" No, but that's not the point.
Yeah.
That's not the point. It's about a certain socially acceptable level of decorum, even if it isn't necessarily accurate to like, you know, because I think the way that started at home was like the women who would be like, we need to stop pretending like this is what a family's home looks like, and it's like a really clean, put together house, because a lot of times, you know, if you've got kids, there's going to be toys on the floor and things need to be cleaned. It's never going to look perfect, right? But that's not where we've gone now. Now it's the whole place can be a disaster zone because, you know, we spent too much time faking what a clean house looks like back in the day.
You can take caring about appearances too far, but we are so far from that happening that it's not even worth mentioning. Like, long gone are those baseline standards of decency and dignity.
Absolutely.
If you live in a depression room, you believe that you are trash. If you treat yourself like a piece of trash, don't expect anyone else to treat you differently and have respect for you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yep. And I'm not saying that that's like an easy thing to deal with, because I've been there, like where my external settings definitely reflected how I felt on the inside, and unfortunately it takes a lot of work, and it's going to be a long road to get past it. But mine was tied to addiction, and that's once I was able to get through that, as hard as that was, you know, your natural inclination to keep a place looking decent actually picks back. At least it did for me, right? Like, once I was no longer chemically kind of quelling the way I felt and always kind of half asleep and and out of it, where the environment around you reflects that, you start putting attention back into your appearance and attention back into the way things look around you. The dishes can't just sit there next to you on a table. You have to bring them into the kitchen. At the very least, put them in the sink. And hopefully you'll be smart enough to then get back and clean them before all of the gunk like sets on the plate and makes it something you have to throw away because it won't come off. But no one's saying it easy, but it's beneficial to your own health to do so.
The more, when you put effort into yourself, your body first, then the way you dress and look and your surroundings, you cannot help but feel better about yourself. When you look good, you're clean, your surroundings are clean, you end up feeling better about yourself totally. Look, I've never been like a fat guy, but we were talking before, like I've lost about 5 pounds in the past month and a half or so because we had the holidays and then me and Sarah moved and all that stuff was going on, and so I put on a couple extra pounds. I feel so much better just losing 5 pounds, and I feel smaller losing 5 pounds, which is 5 pounds isn't a whole ton of weight, but I feel so much better. And it's just a little small thing. You do things like buy clothes that are, and I'm not talking about expensive clothes, but nice clothes that look nice, and you wear things that are not, when you take your clothes out of the dryer, if you hang them up so they don't get all wrinkled, and you put them on and you look nice, then you feel better about yourself. This isn't some kind of crazy idea, and I'm not trying to get too Jordan Peterson on this stuff, but like it really does matter.
There is
how
a reason
you live.
why that message
Absolutely.
resonated the way that it did. We have a 20 from Shane H. Wilder. If I had literally to swim through filth, I'd be depressed too. I just vacuumed, mopped, and scrubbed the grout 3 days ago. It ain't hard. Put on some tunes or a podcast and get it done. You'll feel better.
Yes.
Well, I think
that's the important part. You'll feel better. Yes, it's great. You want to live in a clean place. You don't want to have, because it's bad for you to have like mold and molding food and blah, blah, blah. But you'll feel better. This is all about making yourself a happier person.
But I think that they are so distracted and pacified by the escapism of social media that they care more about curating the digital environment where they exist than paying any attention to what exists in their flesh space. They feel, and they are probably correct in feeling this way, that they primarily exist on the internet. And that is the most meaningful place where they interact with other people. It's where they spend most of their time. And that is where they pay most attention to what they look at every day. They're not even, it's tunnel vision. When they're walking through their garbage-filled room, they're totally blind to it because when they pick up the phone, they're looking at images of beautiful things and beautiful people and images of themselves that are filtered
impossibly
and curated.
Clean apartments. That
yes.
So and that dopamine rush that you get from using your phone, it works in your brain the same way, albeit to a different extent that drugs do. So you're
perfect sense.
You're masking it in a lot of ways. And to Phil's point earlier, like the same thing happens to me whenever I go through a phase. Like I said, like I was off the energy drinks for like 4 weeks and instantly feel better. Even if you don't necessarily look completely different, just the fact that you feel better goes a long way, in addition to taking care of yourself, wearing decent clothes, and purporting yourself in a good way.
Yep.
All right. Let's go to Superchats.
Adam said, can we build a wall around New York City?
Yes.
I wish.
There's already a moat, man.
Well,
Manhattan is literally an island.
You're still going to see what they post online, sadly.
Yeah.
Arsenal Man said, I look forward to the continued suffering of New Yorkers being posted for me to watch and laugh.
I kind of said, like I said to you this morning, I said, depending on the day of the week for me, depending on how annoyed I am, I'm like, on a good day, I'm like, man, that sucks. I hope he doesn't win the election. New Yorkers deserve better. On a bad day, I'm like, serves him right. I hope they all suffer because they voted for this idiot. Like it's the duality of man.
Yeah.
Shane H. Wilder said he also wants to legalize prostitution, have safe injection sites, and end cash bail. If you've seen Escape from New York, that is New York's future.
So Portland, basically.
Surprisingly, these homeless vagrants who have emotional outbursts and don't seem aware of their surroundings, they are extremely lucid when it comes to making choices that are convenient for them. So if you offer free public transportation on the buses, they will just live on the bus.
Well, they'll have to make like those homeless-proof bus seats the way they have the benches that are vagrant-proof.
Right. Or they'll just, sleep on the floor, whatever.
Let's do one more.
Can't think of a name, said AOC promoted him, and that's why he won, not celebs.
No.
I didn't see anything of AOC talking
No.
about Zohran, but that could be, you say it's not true?
Yeah, not at all. AOC promoting him, it's like there is a segment of the population that is extremely hungry for what they believe is socialism. I saw someone tweet the other day, and it was something along the lines of, when you talk to someone that's 45 or older and you say socialism, they think of the Soviet Union, they think of breadlines, they think of authoritarianism, they think of all these terrible things, right? You talk to someone that's under 45, and when you say socialism, they think taxing the rich more so that way everybody gets health care. That's the divide. And it's not that an endorsement isn't doing it. It's people not understanding the results of a socialist government.
I think of
Particularly young people.
I
Go
think
ahead.
of the intro sequence to GoldenEye with the hammer and the sickle getting destroyed. That's what I think of. Let's. I got a $2 Rumble rant here from Deep South EDC. Says Michael Moore gave his endorsement. The only thing that guy is relevant for is keeping his local cookie shop in business. Rough.
Yo, can we talk
Yeah.
about Crumble Cookie?
What about it?
Just talk about it a little bit because I love it. He just brought up cookies.
We're
Now I'm
going,
thinking I want to go to
Olivia-
get cookies right now.
Olivia was just telling me she's got like a coupon for.
Oh,
Crumble
are
cookie.
you going to get the Benson Boone Moonbeam Ice Cream Crumble Cookie limited edition?
Holy shit! What is that?
I don't think it was
I don't
that
know, but it's
one.
gonna kill you.
But she was talking about getting them.
Oh,
and
and
I
the,
said, how about we split one? Just
how
so
about
that we don't
the
each take the calories.
Dubai chocolate crumble cookie? Have you been hearing about this crazy new trend? The
I wanna
Dubai
try it.
chocolate shake.
Why
Is
don't we
it
just do
from
a food show? We
Crumble?
should just do a food show.
We're gonna surpass MD Foodie Boys any minute now.
I'm down.
Yeah. No, the Dubai chocolate shake at Shake Shack, what they do is I think they pour chocolate around the inside of the cup and then refrigerate it so it hardens, and then you get the shake in the chocolate and you squeeze the cup and it crunches the chocolate.
Hot take.
I mean, look,
It has pistachio.
you're talking about a chocolate ice cream shake. Like
Yes.
that is amazing in and of itself. Like even the most boring chocolate shakes.
Oh, I
so
would just
good.
feel like such a consumerist little piggy if I got the Dubai chocolate shake and the Moonbeam ice cream.
Like
I will go to the
crumble
gym.
cookie.
I will go to the gym for 2.5 hours, and I will leave the Martinsburg gym, and I will drive right down Foxcroft and take a right, go over to the Crumble Cookie, and I will buy
And you say-
6-pack of the small ones.
But it's not just about the calories. It's like the principle of the thing. Like, I'm going to buy the Benson Boone cookie.
like
I
the
am an
humiliation is
idiot.
having to ask for it.
Can I please get the Moonbeam ice cream cookie?
Oh,
the Benson Boone
wait a minute.
one?
Have you guys not been to Crumble lately? You don't talk to anyone. They have little kiosks. You just
Oh,
type in your order.
I was just
didn't
thinking,
know.
like, I wonder if ordering it from like Uber Eats makes the embarrassing ones easier to
you-
get. Like me ordering Chuck E. Cheese pizza from Uber Eats.
Do you tip at Crumble, Phil?
No.
Good for
I
you.
never tip on kiosks.
Good for you.
Like if it's something
We
where
have
I'm
a
typing
20.
the order, no.
Jose Quintana said, Happy Thursday, Overlord, Empress, and Counter-Revolutionary. Once I reached my 20s, I took over the domestic cleaning from my mom and dad, the dishes, the trash, the laundry, etc. I was raised right.
Yeah,
Long
you were,
live
Jose.
PCC.
Thank you.
Cheers,
for that.
man. Thank you.
One time
As you should.
at our Dollar General that I go to has like the roundup thing to some charity. I don't even know what it is. And I bought a couple of things. It came out to exactly $3, and this thing actually had the temerity to ask me to round up to $4. It asked me to give a whole $1.
Bold.
Yeah.
Bold of them to assume.
Also today when I was like checking out, I was on the way to work. The lady in front of me, she paid for 3/4 of her stuff and then wanted to put the rest in the card, and her card was declined. I was like, I was in a hurry. I was like, I can cover it. Just put my stuff on there as well. and she said thank you, but like she kind of looked mad.
Well, she probably felt embarrassed, Brett.
But it wasn't like, for all I know, it's just like the day before payday. I'm just like, look, I'm like, here you go, not a big deal.
People just feel embarrassed about things like that.
Like and that is like, I keep like $10 in my wallet because that is like one of my fears, but more just like, but it's one of those kind of weird caveats where it's like I would never feel like looking at that person, like, you don't know their story, doesn't matter, whatever, shit happens. But when it's you, it's weird or it's embarrassing.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
It really shouldn't be, because everybody understands that we all have money struggles. Like, that's a thing. But yeah. So all right, let's move on.
One of the many crises plaguing the modern dating world today is the growing political divide between men and women, and this does bear out in the statistics, most notably in Gen Z. The young men are trending rightward, the young women are trending leftward, to the extreme side of the spectrum. And this is a stark contrast between millennials, who in the 2010s mostly politically aligned with each other as disproportionately liberal. Now this is a new problem. Liberal women absolutely refuse to date right-leaning men. Even men who are politically centrist or moderate, they completely swear them off as options in the dating pool, leaving them thinking they'll never find someone who fits their standards, and that's one of them. This is exemplified in a TikTok saying, taking girlfriend applications for my fiance's best friend. Do you have that, Brett?
Yep, here we go.
Fun fact about Colin: 6'3", is a teacher, has a house, has a boat, is 30 and ready to start a family. Yep. And, you know, he looks like a normal, dateable guy. Looks eligible. He likes to grill. He's a normal guy.
He didn't put cheese on the burger before it was cooked, so he's human. We at least know he's human. Here we go.
And then the person who posted this said every single comment from the females on this video was just asking how he voted.
Really?
Yep. There were some of the comments posted. Where was he on January 6th, 2021?
Well, then that's just them saying that he's coded a certain way.
Just
He's
like
masculine.
the dating apps, if you're not explicitly stating your political views, we will assume the worst. Another one said, please tell me he looks like a Republican but votes like a Democrat. This is the unicorn man that they're searching for, who has an ounce of masculinity but somehow is still a radical leftist. You're not going to find that guy.
No,
That guy doesn't exist.
Yes, he
Doesn't
does.
exist.
Yes, he does. He's Alan Ritchson. They all want Alan Ritchson.
Maybe there's just one guy, but
there's
he's off
literally
the
one.
market, ladies. Alan Ritchson is happily married, but
he's a Protestant, so they'd hate him for that.
Oh yeah,
and
he can't
even
be.
when these women meet a guy who they like and seems to be a good prospect, they will refuse to take things any further on a serious effort to get to know someone just based on this question of who they voted for. That was a clip from a dating show where this woman has a first date on stage with this guy. She likes him. She thinks it's going well. But this is what sours the entire interaction, the fact that he voted for Trump.
Well, first of all, Lisa, do you consent to a second date?
Do I have a last question that I can ask?
Sure.
Okay, plot twist.
Let's go for it.
So,
It's like bonus rounds.
who did you vote for?
The screeching harpies in the background. She's
I
just
voted
staring at him like
for
a
the-
psycho. Watch him fumble it.
What was he
But
supposed- what
with
was he
that
supposed
comes
to
a
say?
lot of things, like a cabinet that has.
Most annoying person on the planet.
Oh, heart is broken. I enjoyed my evening with you, but I have to stick to my morals and my principles.
I'm sure you have morals and principles, sweetheart.
Such as killing my babies.
Yeah.
The crowd has turned into Jerry Springer up in here. This is hilarious.
Fight.
All right. Well, Lisa, thank you so much.
And Lisa is going to be alone forever if she continues operating like this. The guy fucked up though. He tried to skirt around the answer. He was hoping he could kind of couch it. He could disguise himself as a centrist. No, like, you voted for Trump because you support Trump. Don't try to say, oh, like, I don't know, I was like voting for some of his cabinet appointees, blah, blah, blah. Like, stop. Okay? Just be real about who you are, and you will filter out the people like Lisa in the process. But then some right-wing men take the opposite extreme, and they choose to put forward their political beliefs to the extent that it's disturbing to the women that they date. This was posted by a Twitter user saying he's married. He was talking to his single friend who said he was planning to wear a MAGA hat on the first date. He said, I wouldn't recommend a MAGA hat. Well-calibrated women tend to be disinterested in politics. He just said, his single friend said, gay. And he says, it says less about your politics and more about, I publicly look for political fights with strangers. It's a sort of abrasiveness that women who are generally disinterested in politics don't like. So he's taking the opposite approach where he's going to lead with politics and make it the central focus.
As a filter.
Which even would put off a right-wing woman, perhaps. I think a guy going to a first date in a MAGA hat is a turnoff.
I wouldn't want to. I mean, but the thing is like when we were young, you were trained to not talk about religion and politics at dinner. And now it's all anybody wants to talk about because they put themselves into the echo chambers where you're only talking with people that you agree with and the people that do like to fight with people. And I post this all the time where I'm like, this stuff just gets to be annoying and it gets to be exhausting. And a lot of people are like, I love it. I live for it. And I'll never understand that. I understand that those people exist, that they get a certain energy from fighting with people about this stuff. I think it's dorky on both sides. I think what that woman did is ridiculous and dorky, but it was good for both of them because neither of them would have been happy together in the end anyways. But being so focused on it that you have to use it as a filter that you could do through a question is ridiculous too.
The common sense approach is don't lie about it, but also don't lead with it because that will put off even people who are open-minded to other political beliefs or who even agree with you about politics. And I think if you are that type of person who gets excited about debating people on these things, debate with your bros. You don't need to take that energy into a first date. That means you're not fun.
Yes. Remember, you do want to be honest, but you want to be fun. Or else she's not going to want a second date.
Women make a similar mistake going into dates where they treat it like a job interview and they come into it with this mindset of efficiency and ticking boxes, which means you're not actually going to form a connection with someone or show them your sense of humor or what you're interested in outside of your political beliefs. So I think both sides could learn from this. Another example, dating in NYC summed up. This guy was planning to go on a first date, probably from a dating app.
Yeah,
he
this
was
one I saw. This was amazing. How many views did this thing end up getting?
At the moment, 10 million, yeah. Jeez. Almost 11 million
so
views.
He made so much money because she was a dummy.
He said he was confirming their reservation, and she said, hey, yes, that still works. I did just want to ask one thing to make sure we're on the same page and not waste time. Did you vote for Zohran for mayor? I'm really excited he won.
But
and then he sends back a screenshot of him canceling their dinner reservation. No comment added.
That is the best. That is so perfect.
She then replies, glad we didn't waste each other's time. I also now have seen you posted this screenshot on Twitter. Your page is disgusting. If you do not delete your post, I'm going to the police. Perfect timing.
I don't know what she would do. Like, why? Because he like showed her first name?
I don't know. Standing on business at the beach. And then she said, I don't need this in my life right now. This week has been insanely stressful. And then he said, didn't you just vote to defund the police? Now you want to call them over a Twitter post? Good luck. And she replied, please do not message me or contact me again. I have reported your post to the police. You will also be hearing from my lawyer.
That's great.
This is the level of mental derangement that men are dealing with in the dating pool with specifically radically liberal women, mostly city-dwelling women.
Yeah, and here's the thing is it's we've had this discussion before where for most people they understand that politics usually ends up lining up because it's with how prevalent it is in society today. it's kind of a misnomer to believe that a lot of people are going to be wildly politically divergent and still get along. Now, I believe that you could be wildly politically one direction and be with somebody who's apolitical, but that always runs the risk that they're going to end up getting interested in it, and you might not always and they might not always agree with what you believe in.
I don't inherently disagree with liberals or leftists wanting to date someone who politically aligns with them. That's fine.
Yeah.
But they take it to an extreme where they dehumanize someone for their views and sometimes want to destroy their life over it.
Yep.
It's not then just about your ability to build a life with this person and raise kids with similar values. At that point, it's just about telling someone you're not worthy of love because you voted for Trump.
Yep.
And that's the type of person you're dealing with. And I am going to call back again to this Wall Street Journal article that's getting a lot of attention. American Women Are Giving Up on Marriage is the title if you want to go read the full thing. But I've brought this up for the last couple of days, and I swear I'll be done soon. There is a section of it about political affiliation and divergent worldviews that they credit for the decline in marriage, especially from the side of women who are selecting partners. They interview a woman named Alicia Jones who lives in D.C. She identifies as politically moderate. She thinks couples with kids should split household and child care responsibilities equally. She was surprised by just how few of the men she encountered share this view. Either they held traditional ideas about marriage or were extremely crunchy liberal and wanted to live in a van and drive across the country. Before she pulled back from dating, she tried her luck at a singles event and left only friends with women. A growing political divide between men and women has compounded the challenges of finding love. This stat kind of threw me for a loop. So in 2024, 39% of women ages 18 to 29 identified as liberal. I honestly expected that number to be way higher than 39%. This is from a Gallup poll, compared with 25% of their male peers, 18 to 29. This gap has more than tripled in a decade. Back in 2014, only 32% of women and 28% of men called themselves liberal. So the proportion of men that identify that way has decreased. The proportion of women that identify that way has increased. And they are just on opposite trajectories and are not going to meet in the middle. That trend doesn't seem to be stopping anytime soon.
Nope.
So politics have now become an expression of one's core values about everything from economic inequality to bodily autonomy, abortion. They are reflective of people's entire worldviews. The last presidential election and first months of the Trump administration have intensified this rift. They also mention a 33-year-old real estate agent named Rachel in Georgia who broke up with her boyfriend with whom she shares a 5-year-old son over a year ago because she was tired of doing most of the childcare, cooking, and scheduling while earning almost double her boyfriend's salary. She has yet to date anyone else, in part because she worries about living in a red state with a 6-week abortion ban, even though this woman is a mother. She says, I have a child that I can't leave behind to drive to Virginia if I had a pregnancy scare, and I definitely can't afford another child as a single mom. Okay, so that just means you chose to have a child with an unsuitable partner, and you're planning to not use contraception and use abortion as contraception instead. And that's why you're not going to settle down with anyone going forward.
Or she does use contraception. She's very, very neurotic and is thinking about the outside chance of this happening.
And then they go into the growing movement of single mothers by choice, which is gaining more and more interest from millennial women.
Well, it's going to keep happening because their wages are growing. First of all, the guy she was with sounds horrible. If she was making
sure, but she sounds horrible
double.
too.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. Like there are no winners in this fight.
Right.
The guy sounds like a piece of crap, expecting her to do all the housework while making none of the money or barely any of the money.
Right. Like I understand some of the reasons that they cited for being single. However, some of this is self-inflicted. We can admit that, especially when the liberal women in question are looking for the ideal male partner who makes more money than them, looks traditionally masculine, behaves in a traditionally masculine way, is chivalrous, pays the bill, and also happens to be a radical leftist, left of AOC.
I mean, this is the Bo Burnham.
You're
I
not
know you're
going to find him.
I know you're not the Bo Burnham fan, but this is the Bo
Can't stand
Burnham
him.
skit. You know.
Who? Bo Burnham?
Bo Burnham.
Don't know who he is.
Yeah.
What skit? I don't know what you're
let
talking
me see
about.
if I can, hold on. Let me see if I can pull it up. I'll probably get copyrighted.
I thought that Bo Burnham was left-wing himself.
He
so
is.
I'm surprised that he would make fun of something like that. What is it, though? Like, what's the skit?
Hold on. I gotta find it.
Okay.
Let's keep going.
Okay, I mean, I didn't have anything else to say.
Let me see if I. Yeah, here it is. It's women lower your expectations. So here
Okay.
you go.
Is it musical comedy?
Yes, it is.
Is it?
Wait, before we play this, I need to read this 20 from
Okay.
Jose Quintana. As I look back on girlfriends past, not once was politics ever an issue. Things were more romantic and traditional. By the way, I do like the new Crisis Party tune. Phil, when will All That Remains do the official song for PCC?
I don't think they'll let me.
No, I don't think so. That's not really our vibe.
I'm not gonna play it for now. So I don't want to get copyrighted. So, but
Okay.
I'll play it for you later. But yeah, the point is that Bo. Somebody's right. Bo hates everyone. But basically saying that like he wants you to be friends with your best friend, but you can't think she's hot. It's an unrealistic expectation of men. They want you to be all of these things, but you can't be all of these things. You can be some of them.
Countless liberal women have said that they are sick of liberal men's shit. They don't want to date men who paint their nails and split the bill and want equality in a relationship. They don't want to go 50-50. They don't want to date a guy who doesn't assume these traditionally masculine roles. They have admitted as such, and they're not willing to make the compromises necessary to find that type of guy and be the type of woman that guy is interested in. So, I mean, you didn't hear it from me. Like, do what you want to do with your life. Be alone if you want. There are a lot of people who are going to end up alone. That's the sad reality of it.
Yep. All right. Let's go to Super Chats.
Willem said, late night Taco Bell will fix the Love Island bed sharing issue.
Oh, God.
Yikes. Blood-Based said, Dwarven Warrior Phil. Do you appreciate being called a Dwarven Warrior?
I mean, I don't care. If you're in the chat and you're like, oh, I'm going to spend money so I can insult Phil, be my guest. More power.
Oh, yeah,
to
we
you.
love that.
Yeah.
Kyle Dixon said, hey, Phil.
Although I should get the money, though. Or I should get half of it. But anyways, go ahead.
We'll work that out.
Okay.
Yeah. Kyle Dixon said, hey, Phil, the concept you were thinking of last night is called Chesterton's Fence. Don't remove the fence if you don't know why it was put there.
That's exactly what it was. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I feel like G.K. Chesterton just said everything that's ever been said.
He said a lot of really smart things.
Do you ever are thinking of a quote and you don't know who said it? Just say that G.K. Chesterton said it.
Or you know what, you're bad. I'm not sure who said it. It was probably G.K. Chesterton.
Yeah.
Just
Just a
G.K.
safe
Chesterton.
answer. Big Dave said, asking for the crisis actors, prayers for my dad and mom. Both ended up in the ER last week. Thanks in advance. Absolutely.
Sorry, Dan.
Sorry to hear that.
Sorry to hear that.
Prayers up. Shane H. Wilder said, we got a new crisis party that Phil will at least bob his head to. That's a win, guys. Let's pack it up and head on home.
It is much better.
You're a believer. Ikeck, therefore I meme, said, do you guys think Richard Gere using his platform at the Oscars to speak out against China in the 90s is the same as Zegler? He was banned for 20 years. I've never heard of that incident.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that. There's been all sorts of this is where that stuff used to happen though, at the award shows where they could get on their soapbox.
That was back when people actually watched the Oscars too.
Now they can do that whenever they want on their social media platforms.
Blood-Based said Snow White and the Seven Phils. Oh, okay, it's not funny. Garant said, it's not Zegler's fault, it's her parents' fault for failing to raise her. Complete failure of parents. She's a full-on Violet Beauregard from Wonka. I forget that one. Which one was that? She turned into a blueberry?
Is that the...
No, that was Veronica.
Yeah. I mean, she's... Theater parents in general, at least the friends that the people that I know that were into the theater, their parents were also into the theater. They had artistic parents, and it kind of went down the bloodline.
I think at a certain point you can't blame parents anymore. You know, you do grow up and you're responsible for your own actions and your own words. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty clear that she was raised to be in her industry. Morgan Xavier said, context, it's a kick-ass story concept with conservative values. It promotes self-agency and community and is heavily anti-identity politics and anti-communism. I hope to influence culture through fiction.
That was the woman who was looking to interview you.
So that's cool. We can work something out, I think.
Well, I'm sorry, but the publishing industry just wants Morning Glory Milking Farm.
Yeah, you'll have to self-publish.
Yeah, you're going to be on your own with
Unless
that
you're
one.
going to make Morning Glory Milking Farm 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah. Blood-Based said, this is obviously a societal problem. You should talk about why kids have given up, not shame them for not being invested in their own lives. I mean, I think we did partially address that. I don't think we're going to, you know, write a thesis about all of the problems plaguing Gen Z. But
And a big part of what's going on now is everything is laid at the feet of society and very little is put at the feet of us as individuals having to make our own actions matter and work.
I think this is why, like, Tim got into that heated debate with Elijah Schaefer a month back or however long ago that was, talking about whether Gen Z takes the blame for their dire circumstances of not, you know, being able to own homes, whatever, not having access to livable wages anymore. Tim's perspective is, you know, yeah, these are the circumstances, work hard anyway and deal with it because you have no other option. And then Elijah Schaefer's perspective was, but we have to talk about the nuances and the issues that they're facing that aren't their fault. And both of them are right. They're just coming at it from different perspectives.
It's the crux of a lot of online arguments is like what your personal value system is for this type of situation. How would you address it if it was you?
Yeah, so I mean, that there are plenty of societal problems that Gen Z couldn't help falling victim to because of the time at which they were born. Most of us were given smartphones as kids. I think it's at 40% of toddlers by the age of 2 have an iPad now.
God, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That isn't their fault, and it's going to set them up for failure in countless ways.
Yep.
For sure. But once they reach an age of accountability, an age of reason, they have to be responsible for counteracting the ways that they have been failed by society and by their parents. So, yeah, like, we can say, like, well, Gen Z, it's not their fault. They're depressed because of this, this, and this. But also, they're going to have to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, as much as I hate to say it.
Most of the time, I think it's not even that anymore. Most people are just like, I don't value complaining. It kind of comes up. It's so funny that somebody one time said that I was I'd be on IRL talking about all the things that the boomers have done, when most of the time my argument to people who do lay everything at the feet of the boomers is like, okay, you're 110% right. What's the solution? Without a solution, there's nothing here. We're just retreading everything we've already discussed about these things. How do we fix it? Otherwise, if you don't know how to fix it, I don't know what to tell you.
Well, I guess some people are more focused on clarifying what the problems are because there isn't consensus on what the problem is.
And a lot of times there isn't going to be consensus about how to fix it because
Yes.
everyone's going to have their own idea about how you fix these issues. But that's kind of the crux of the business we're in.
Adam said, Pwetzel cookie? No and no. No Control said the DSA celebrated the ambassador staffer killings and called for more. They are an outright terrorist organization. What is this referring to?
The staffers at the embassy, right? The 2 that were killed. Am I misremembering that? Just a couple
don't
weeks
know.
ago?
I don't
Phil,
keep up.
outside the museum? Or outside the embassy?
Oh, it was the Israeli museum. It was a museum.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Juice X Me said hello.
Hi.
Hello.
James Coderidis said, Happy Thrashing Thursday from Hadrian's Wall in England. English culture proper is still alive in the north. At Phil, maiden or priest?
Ooh, God, man. I'd probably have to go with Iron Maiden. I was the biggest Iron Maiden fan when I was a kid. But I think that Judas Priest has aged better than Iron Maiden. So Iron Maiden, like Judas Priest, got more metal as time went on. In the 70s, they kind of sounded like if you like listen to like Green Man Alicia or something like that. It's got a very 70s metal vibe. In the 80s, they definitely updated their sound, and then in the 90s they did the same. So they kind of stayed more relevant than Iron Maiden did. Iron Maiden got their sound and they stuck to it, but overall I think I'm probably a bigger Iron Maiden fan, but it's super hard, man. I love both those bands.
Abstract Cats Official TSG said at 11 I was doing grocery and cleaning 58 now. I think that's what you meant.
Huh?
Wow. So wait, you're saying your parents sent you to do the grocery shopping
At 11?
at 11?
So he's not going to be one of those guys where the wife
Dang.
sends him to the grocery store and he's like,
That's I mean, I don't think any parents today would trust their child with a responsibility like that, but maybe that's why they're not capable of it. Shane H. Wilder said, I had a coworker who wore an Eat the Rich shirt while talking about how great it was having a maid as a kid. Socialists are retarded.
They're so awful.
Well, no. Like, to them, it makes perfect sense because to them, eat the rich just means billionaires.
Oh, right. Right. It never means
Like,
me.
it's
never means my dad who pays my rent.
That's why Hassan Piker exists.
Yeah. Omega Red fan said, why so serious? It's just constituents. I don't know what that means.
I don't know either.
Juice X Me said gay. Okay. Blood-Based said, I would rather be depressed than Phil. Oh.
Blood-Based. I'm not going to date you.
He also said, this is all eugenic, ultimately self-selection.
Are you referring to the topic about depression rooms?
No, the people who are opting out of dating and family.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, they are self-selecting out of the gene pool as a result. But I think they hope to leave an impact on the world through other ways, like owning a consulting agency. Can't think of a name said being gay has its perks sometimes. Oh, like what? The diapers? I would love to know. Blood-Based said Phil is 5'4". Prove me
gross.
wrong.
I'm not going to show you my license. So.
Okay. Shane H. Wilder said, Phil, quoting Chesterton, it is always a Chesterton quote, unless it is a St. Francis de Sales, like the more flies with honey than vinegar quote. I didn't know that was St. Francis de Sales. Interesting.
Do you have a favorite Chesterton quote?
Personally, no. I don't think I ever read his books. I've read his like a couple essays in high school. Not really a fan of him.
I like bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks.
That's the best one by
it's my
far,
favorite.
from what I've heard. Yeah.
Chat, how's everybody feeling? I'm gonna play the Bo Burnham bit. At least I'm gonna play the. He does one for.
Are we gonna get in trouble?
I'll cut it later. So you can. I always thought this was funny, but he does it for both men and women. But we'll just listen to the women one.
Ladies, I know what you want.
I hate musical comedy. This is so painful.
You want a guy that's sweet, a guy that's tough, a feminist who likes to pay for stuff, the kind of guy that gets along with your friends without being attracted to any of them. A good boy, a bad boy, a good bad boy, a half good, half bad, half boy. Loves your brother, sensitive but not weekend. Is a great lover, calls your mother on the weekend. Now you might think that this guy only exists in your mind. Guess what? You're right. If you want love, lower your expectations a few, because Prince Charming would never settle for you. If you want love, just pick a guy and love him. And if he's got a thing for feet, say fuck it, sweep me off them. Now.
There you go.
Is that the entire thing?
No, he does the guys too, but it's not the same. But that's we were talking about the women.
What was the guys one?
I don't even remember. The one that gets shared is the women's one, because in general.
Well, now I'm curious. I want to hear.
You want to hear the guys one?
The
too?
other half.
The good thing is that at least men have very realistic expectations for women. He said, sarcastically setting up a second verse in a comedy's
This is so
You want a
millennial.
girl that's nice, a girl that's not obsessed with her looks, but is insanely hot. The kind of girl that you can show to your folks. Loves the movies that you like and always laughs at your jokes. A real girl, a hot girl, a really hot girl, a brand new, really hot, real doll. Wants to impress you, doesn't care if you notice, and only ever uses you to tickle her throat with. Now you might think that this girl only exists in your mind, but she's real. But last week she died. If you want love, lower your expectations a lot. You might think your dick is a gift, I promise it's not. If you want love, just pick a girl and love her, then whip out your dick and let the girl you love decline the offer. I don't want a neat freak, I don't want a slob, somebody with bedhead in a dead-end job, 'cause I won't settle for less than perfect. We want perfect children, a perfect life, perfect husband or a perfect wife. But deep down we know we don't deserve.
Okay.
Okay, this is too painful. This is too millennial for me.
It's very millennial.
I can't stand it. The self-referential comedy. It's too much.
But the point
he
is,
says in a sarcastic
yes.
musical comedy bit.
I knew when I knew when he said that. I was like, Mary hated that.
Yeah, I can't stand Bo Burnham, especially like the way that he was getting hyped up during 2020 and everyone was like sharing his bits about being stuck inside. Like I just can't. It's giving Thistle and Thorn energy.
Stomp clap.
Yeah, it's hooting and hollering.
Thistle and Storm, what?
Thistle and Thorn, the millennial burger restaurant that sticks a knife in your burger and cracks an egg on it and
costs $1,000.
It costs $1,000, and they only have truffle fries.
That sounds awful.
And the waiter always has a mustache, a handlebar mustache, suspenders and glasses, and a beanie that's right above the ears. Yep.
Sounds awful.
I never understood the beanie above the ears part.
That was one of the
Never
things
made any
I was
sense
hating
to
on
me.
in my men's fashion trends.
Deep beanie
video.
made more sense to me, but
I think it's called a fisherman hat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Most of these guys, I don't think they're fishermen. They're just hipsters.
Well, you know, they're not loggers either. Like, even though they
No.
look like they work in the woods.
No, you're not
They
a
do not.
lumberjack. You're a waiter at Thistle and Thorn. Just know your bag, know your lane, and stick in it.
He's like, yes, but if this is the outfit of both the person who works at Thistle and Thorn and the person who
Ugh.
is a worker in the wilderness, then I suppose I am what I am.
There was also a hipster thing about like knowing about whiskey, you know?
I mean, whiskey or IPAs.
Yeah,
IPAs
or
more than
IPAs, or IPAs.
whiskey is still coded as generally, you know, men should know.
It's
a
some
little
of
bit about
both, but
whiskey.
mostly the hoppy IPAs.
Yeah.
That
And,
stuff is such garbage.
You know, listening to the Lumineers and having a vinyl record collection and no record player to match with it.
Real
I mean, is it,
gay.
wait, is that a thing? Like you have the
Yeah.
vinyls, but not the
Yeah.
record player?
yeah.
That's a thing.
Wait,
The
why?
next thing will be tapes and CDs. Not kidding around. There are actually bands that are making some cassette tapes, and people are like, "Oh, bring CDs back too," even though nobody has a CD player anymore. You know, or a cassette tape.
In the chat, Frosty Chaos says Tim Pool heard beanie and felt a disturbance in the force. He doesn't wear he wears a beanie
He
that
wears
goes over
it the
his
way
ears.
it's supposed to be
Yeah.
worn, over the ears. And if he ever rolled that thing up above the ears, I would definitely tell him that's not the look.
Don't do it, man.
Yeah. I mean, that would be at his own peril, but I don't think he would do that.
Yeah. Yep. Jeremy Briggs says lumberjacks enjoy the woods. Well, the ones who work at Thistle and Thorn are not lumberjacks. That is for sure.
No,
They
I
are
don't.
not.
I don't think they have the muscle mass to make it as a lumberjack.
Oh God, no.
Yeah, we're all caught up on super chats, but I still think the Bo Burnham thing is funny. It's indicative of where the culture goes as far as like what gets posted online, because the one about men or about women gets reposted all the time. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody repost the one about the men, even though it's a critique as well.
Well, I also don't think that him being a man can write that part of the bit as accurately as a woman could.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm sure he's done I have no idea if this is true, but maybe he's done a version where he has a female comedian come in and do the other half of the song.
I would hate that.
Yeah.
Maybe even more than Bo Burnham finishing the song. Shane H. Wilder said, the funny thing about St. Francis de Sales and the flies and honey quote, he had a temper and was very snarky. He's my patron saint for a reason. Well, he probably came up with it because he was the one who needed to hear it. I kind of like saints that were jerks. They're some of my favorites.
Why? Like, is there a reason why are they just better?
Because there's no virtue in being nice. Being nice is not a virtue.
There's a quote for the ages right there. In the chat on Rumble, it says, wait until Tesla sells a CD player attachment for Neuralink. That'd be kind of cool. Like, it's into your brain.
You stick the CD in your brain?
You eat it. They're disposable.
Oh, yeah. Can't wait.
You eat it and consume it that way.
They're disposable.
Yeah. Well, and then you have to buy multiple copies. It's how they keep you. Kind of like how in Adobe, like you can't, like nobody buys Adobe anymore. You have to frickin' buy the license and pay every month.
Mary hates musical comedy but loves cringe. Correct. What I just watched, I don't really find it cringy. It's just unfunny, I just watch that and feel dead inside. There's no cringe factor.
I knew when he said the part about, like, when he was self-referential that you'd absolutely roll
Says
your
the
eyes.
guy singing a musical comedy bit in front of an audience. Like, okay, cool. That's really meta. Pop Culture Junkie said, I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay.
Okay.
I didn't know you were a lumberjack. What aren't you? What have you not done?
So you're a full-time, you were a full-time entertainment journalist, a lumberjack. Anything else?
Yeah. It's impressive.
Blood-Based says, who even is the guy on the left?
What?
Right here. Me.
I'm
the guy on the left.
Well, it depends.
Unless he's talking about something else. But I'm assuming he's talking about that.
No idea.
No clue who that guy is.
Brett. His name is Brett Dasovic. It's pronounced Dasovic.
Correct.
Just so everyone knows.
Yeah.
If you're new here.
Somebody put a post the other day. They asked if the lady from Moms for Liberty was like related to me because we both have last names that are mildly sound. It's like Deskovich or something like that. I'm like, I don't ask somebody with like the last name, I don't know, Johnson and Johnston if they are the same, if they're related.
I like Dasovic better personally. No Control said agree, hate musicals and musical comedy.
Yeah,
it's very
bad.
Theater kid
See,
energy,
if they had made,
band kid energy.
If they had made Wicked 10 years ago, Bo Burnham would have ended up in a
right.
comedy role.
Pop Culture Junkie said, I was never a lumberjack, just a I think you mean Monty Python fan.
Oh. He's old.
Been
he must be old enough to.
Probably decades since I've seen a Monty Python skit. The DJ Foy said, TBR, what does TBR mean? To be real?
That's what I assumed.
I don't know.
But
my mate has a side hustle making covers for vaporwave and barber beats artists from Bandcamp on mini disc. So what we did in high school in '99 for CDs.
I was jealous of I couldn't afford a mini disc, so my cousin had a mini disc player.
What's a mini disc?
It's like a halfway between a CD player, except for it's not a CD player. It plays. You put a little disc in it.
Yep.
Did you also remember the mini CDs?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so your CD player, like on your computer, your CD-ROM had like the indent in the middle and it just looks like it's there for show. It's not. Like they made mini discs that you could put in there. And that was like what your mini disc player was, like a portable Walkman that you could put your mini disc in. And my cousin had one, but I couldn't afford it. It made me sad. I had to have a regular Discman that had... I couldn't even afford one with good skip protection. So you had to walk. Like, you had to basically, like, walk on one leg so your CD wouldn't skip.
I still have no idea what this thing was, but I remember when I was really little, in, like, the early 2000s, I had this little, like, Nickelodeon, like... I don't even know what it was. Like, it was a video player, and you would put like a tiny disc into it, and it would just play like a 1 or 2 minute long clip of a SpongeBob episode. Like, not even the whole episode. Maybe I was an iPad baby. This is a new revelation for me.
Yeah, just I'm going and looking up mini disc. This is going to be the Wikipedia thing I get enthralled with later is reading about the history of the mini disc player. But my cousin might even had that exact one. In a
I bet you
different
can
color.
still get one of those at a Goodwill.
You can get them on eBay, that's for sure. But I bet you they're going to cost a fortune.
That's why you have to keep everything.
Yep. Oh yeah, my brother also had a Zune that lasted for like.
Oh, okay. Was that the iPod knockoff?
Yeah, it was the iPod knockoff, and like to the point where it was such a knockoff, like the show Chuck like made fun of it because it was like a tech literate show.
Suck?
I mean, I know nobody knows because nobody had it. We'll never know. Like I could ask my brother, but he's probably biased.
I mean, he was the only person who
Pretty
had a
much.
Zune
Like
on
literally,
Earth.
it was a joke in Chuck where he's like, "Do you have any Rush CDs?" He goes, "Don't worry, man, I got them all in my Zune." He goes, "You have a Zune?" He's like, No. Who am I kidding? I've got an iPod. I always thought the joke should have actually been like he pulls out a Zune and they're surprised by that it exists. But yeah, I couldn't believe that he had a Zune for years and years and years.
Zune, right? I'm looking at it right now.
Bloodbased says, I have decided that I like Phil more than the grating Jewish man on the left.
Interesting. Oh.
That's me.
Brett isn't even Jewish. So
No.
I don't know where you got that idea.
Yeah.
This guy just showed up and was ready to fight.
That's okay.
I mean,
he
he's
just
paying
woke
for
up
it.
and chose violence today.
I
But
think
thank
I'm
you
gonna-
for the money
I'm going to put that in my bio. The grating Jewish man on the left.
on the left, specifically.
Yes. But kind of
But
like
you're not a leftist.
I keep that's why it's funny.
Okay,
Then
fair enough.
people will be like, well, you don't believe in leftist policies. It's like, no,
Fair
I was
enough.
literally on the left. It's like I keep meaning to add politically neutral dresser to my social media platforms because that's still the nicest thing anybody's ever said about me. Also, somebody earlier said I am the modern day Carson Daly, and I don't know how to.
What does that mean?
I have no idea. I don't host anything called Total Request Live, and I don't host any reality TV singing competitions either.
I'm realizing that I don't know who Carson Daly is.
It's before your time.
Hmm.
He was
things
he
are.
wasn't even a
MTV.
VJ really. He was just kind of a talk show host.
Well, he did a couple of the game shows that they did. Right?
Yes, but he was the TRL guy. He hosted Total Request Live on MTV.
Oh, okay, yeah. Mhm.
All right.
Didn't he do remote control too?
I don't know. He went on to do like one of the reality TV singing competitions where he was the host. I was actually thinking about that at some point where I was watching, like I never watched those shows, but it was like their job is to be like good, but not so good that they overshadow whoever is being like talked about. Like he can't be too over the top, otherwise he takes all the attention away.
You don't want to take the attention away when you're interviewing Beyonce or whatever.
Yeah. Well, even this is on like a singing competition. It's like he can't be the center of attention. They have to make it about the contestants. All right, guys, before we go, would you hit the like button on this video, please, and subscribe to this channel if you are new here, especially you, Bloodbased. I want you to subscribe and join this channel every day of the week. And remember to share it out with your friends and everybody in your life and argue with them about it in the comment section.
Why are the trolls so frequently anti-Israel or anti-Semitic? He
They're
goes,
just trying to
put
get
it in
to
your
you."
secret bag of Jew gold.
I will.
What?
Why on earth? Why is it always the same stuff?
Oh my gosh!
If somebody can point me
Look,
to a
if he's
secret
not
bag.
if he's not paying for anyone to read it, we're not reading it. Okay.
All right, Phil, where can they find you?
I am Phil That Remains on Twix. I'm Phil That Remains official on Instagram. The band is All That Remains. Our new record is called Anti-Fragile. You can check it out on Apple Music, Amazon Music, Spotify, Pandora, and Deezer. Oh yeah, and YouTube. And don't forget, The Left Lane is for Crime.
All right.
A couple more super chats. Shane H. Wilder said, I have a CD player mainly because there are some albums I own that are not streaming. Also, is the Nickelodeon player a mini clip player? I mean, that sounds right. I don't know. I don't remember what it was called or if anyone else had one. High Voltage 75 said, thanks for making me feel old again, Mary. About the Carson Daly thing.
She's like, who is this Carson Daly guy?
And the Zune.
Yeah.
I don't know these things. Okay, you guys can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived. Make me TikTok famous. That one is also Mary Archived. And I am going to be making an appearance on Timcast IRL tonight, so tune in later.
Perfect. Guys, if you want to follow me, I'm on Instagram and X at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. I'm not posting on X at least for a week, but you should go and follow me there and say nice things. This show is here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is, of course, noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you like to listen rather than watch the show, you can rate and review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, which is another great way to help this channel out. And if you want to follow us on social media, Twix at @PopCulture_show, Facebook at @PopCultureCrisis, Instagram at @PopCultureCrisisPod. I am going to see F1 tonight. I'm debating still whether I'm going to review it or not. Perhaps I will. Perhaps I won't. But if I do, that'll be out this weekend.
If the fancy strikes you.
If I get 10 minutes in and it's so good I just don't even feel like taking notes, then perhaps I won't. But stay tuned. And there's a couple more there, Mary.
Adam said, "End credit man, end credit man, end credit man. Stop trying to curse me. I don't want any part of this."
With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back with another episode tomorrow. We will see y'all then.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.